Hello beautiful and welcome to this video where we are going to do a palette bingo with the Club Nebula palette because it is restocking again and we're going to do a palette bingo. And I also asked you on my Instagram to give me some questions about this collab, things you've been wanting to know about this collab. So we're going to do a combo of a palette bingo and a Q&A about how it is to collaborate with a brand. Like, how did this palette come to be? You had a lot of really good questions and we're gonna go through a lot of them. If you haven't been here before, hello, my name is Angie. I am a lover of fashion and makeup, especially colorful things. Hopefully the palette bingo gods will give us some really... What else are we gonna get? Of course we're gonna get some color. Look at this. We're gonna be a happy clown today, and if you want to see some more color in your timeline, if you want to see some more reviews, tutorials, hauls, this is the place to be because I do upload 5 videos a week. Let me briefly talk a little bit about the restock just at the beginning. I will put the details down in the description box as well. If there's anything you're wondering about, the answer will most probably be in the description box. The restock is happening on April 14th, 8 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, or if you're in Europe, it's going to be 5 a.m. Central European Time, CET. We did do it 9 a.m. Central European Time last time, and then it was in the middle of the night for the people living in US. So we decided to switch it up a little bit because last time people in US had to set an alarm, and now people in Europe have to set an alarm. Of course, I'm gonna put the info in the description box down below. Just know that the restock does have to happen while the people on Kaleidos is actually at work and they are in Shanghai time. So if you're wondering about any of that, it's gonna be in the description box. The restock is happening very soon. I did get some questions like, why isn't this permanent and will there be another restock? I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be another restock. As I'm talking right now, we are not planning to have another restock. But if it's like, if it sells out as fast as the other restock did, and if there's like a lot of people that wanted it that didn't get it, maybe. But to be fair, I do think that this will be the last restock. This is the thing, you never know. The worst thing that can happen for a brand is to sit on a lot of stock, because stock is money. That is money that you have tied up in products, and that's why you sometimes see products ending up at like Marshalls or TJ Maxx. It's not because the brand is doing bad, it's just that they're having a lot of stock in one certain product and they would like to have that money back. So that is what happens. So I honestly don't know. And when there is a collab between a brand and an influencer, there's always a contract, and usually the contract has an end date. There's never a contract that's like, for the rest of time, until eternity and beyond. Like, that's never how a contract is, usually. So therefore, usually the products that are collaborations are limited edition because of how contracts are made. Did also get some questions that I won't be able to answer, and it's mainly questions regarding like exact numbers, and I'm not allowed according to contract to disclose things like that to you, but I think you understand. First of all, I have everything on. I will leave the details to what I'm wearing down in the description box. Let's do a quick let's do a quick like palette bingo thingamajiggy. I will leave the video down below where I'm swatching this if this is the first time you're seeing this palette. I'll leave the video down below where I'm swatching it so that you can see if this is something that you're interested in. I do have a full playlist as well of all the looks that I've seen people create with this. If I didn't add your video, please let me know because I'll add it to the playlist. I will also leave that down below. Now let me get my random number generator. Okay, the dog came to play here as well. But let's start. I have from number 1 to 15 because it is 15 shades, and I'm just gonna pick them up with my fingers and we can quickly see the color scheme. I want to get through this as quickly as possible. Number 6, that is You're My Only Hope, which is the Icy Lavender. Then we have number 14, which is Nebula, which is the like fiery peach. And then we have number 2, which is 7 of 9. It is the this color scheme, the turquoise. And then we have number 4, which is Queen of Blades. Yay, we're getting a dark matte. And the last color is gonna be number 10, which is Salon. Let me put that on my thumb. This is awkward. So this is gonna be the color scheme that we're playing with. Purple, peach, some turquoises, and then this dark green. I think that I'm gonna do these two in the crease. I am probably gonna do this on the lid, and then I'll do a pinky purpley low lash line. I think that that is gonna... Is that a cat hair? I think that is gonna be the plan for today. What's going on, sweetie? I think that's gonna be the plan for today. Let me clean this off, let me zoom in, and we can start. And I have a bunch of questions to answer as well. Let me just put on some chapstick. I didn't put on a lip color because I didn't know what I wanted to have. but we'll decide that in a bit. I'm gonna start with 7 of 9 and just a somewhat of a fluffy brush. The first question is, how did you come up with the theme and how did you get inspired in general? When I knew that I was gonna do a collab with Kaleidos, I said this in the release video, I wanted to do something, wait, can I pull this in a bit? I wanted to do something that made sense for both of our brands, like something that made sense for me. Here you see, something that made sense for me, like Angie, something that made sense for me and my brand, and something that made sense for Kaleidos, something that they hadn't done before, just something that made sense for all of us. And I always have like saved a bunch of pictures, I always have saved, wow, grammar. I have a bunch of pictures of nebulas, like colorful nebula clouds, saved on my computer because I always thought they were so pretty, and I thought nebula space theme together with something that's colorful, I thought that was perfect. So I actually pitched that idea to them in the absolute beginning. I was like, I want to do something inspired by nebula, I want this to be the nebula palette. Someone asked me, let me see if I can find it, who really named the palette, and I really named the palette. I wanted to be the Nebula palette, and Kaleidos said we want to have 2 names in the palette, and I said how about the Club Nebula. So that is how it came to be. I decided the theme, I decided the colors, and I decided the name. I think that sometimes people think, and then maybe that is true with some collaborations, that the brand is basically creating something and the creator is just, or the celebrity is just like signing off on it, and maybe that is true with some collabs, but that is not the case with this collab. I sent, and I think some people asked about that. I have this question, how much freedom on choosing color design did you have? Like all of the freedom. All of the freedom, because I knew exactly what I wanted to have, and I sent them basically, I did something in paint. Yes, I did something in paint, and I was like, I want this color. Oh, and someone asked about that as well. Where did you find your exact colors? Did they have a catalog to choose from? No. These were specifically blended and made for this palette. And also someone asked, did you also specify the formula you wanted? Yes. So I did something in paint, and I like said like this one a matte, this one a duochrome, this one a topper. I made all of those specific. I am very descriptive when it comes to colors. I was very like specific on what I wanted, and I kind of knew at the beginning what I wanted. I will say that this color story isn't that far from my initial thought. We did do a couple of changes, but honestly not that much. And I didn't have, at the beginning, I didn't have 15 shades. Someone asked me, did you originally want to do a small palette or the 15 pan? Or did Kaleidos want the big one? And then someone asked me about the packaging. Did your palette have to be the same packaging format as the escape pod? So they did ask me, do you want to make a big one or do you want to make a small one? But I felt like, I love small palettes, you know that. But I felt like if I'm gonna do an eyeshadow palette, I have so many colors that I would like to release, and I didn't think that the 15 pan was too big. If they had like the 35 palette, I would have said a smaller one because I don't want it to be that big. That's not what she said. But I didn't think that 15 was too big. And yeah, it was like, they already have packaging design. So it was like, do you want it to be in the escape pod design or do you want it to be in the futurism palette design? Creating custom packaging takes a really long time and it's very, very expensive. And I like this packaging. It is a little bit bulky, but it feels very sturdy and it doesn't feel flimsy. And there is like, you feel like you're like, that it's secure, and it's not that thick. It's not that thick. So I didn't mind this palette design that much, and I had so many colors that I was like, oh, I want to pick them. But I will say, the first color, someone asked me about my first color. I don't remember the exact question, but the first color that I knew I wanted was the Nebula, which is the color we're going to use today. I knew I wanted a fiery peach because I feel like I never find one that color, and I don't own anything similar to that in my collection. My like go-to color scheme is like a peach and a red in the crease and then something like sparkly pink or peach on the lid, and I just wanted to have the perfect sparkly peach. So that is the first color that I was like, this is what I want, and I started describing that color, and then the rest of them just came with time. Let me use a smaller brush. I want to have my absolute favorite. Now that I have everything clean, now I can have my favorite brush. Now everything is clean. This is a Refer 13, and I'm gonna use Queen of Blades, which is the dark green. I also got a question about the last shade that was added to the palette. And when we have everything done, let me grab some samples. Okay, here are some samples. These are not magnetized, and not all of these are the exact same colors that are in this palette. We did make some changes to a couple of these. I think that this is not the one that's in the palette, which is the Nebula one. That one is probably the one that we made the most like revisions to. Like, I wanted to be a little bit more this, I wanted to be a little more that, and then also Kaleidos was wanting it to have just a little bit more opacity, so we did work together on it. Even though it was my vision, I definitely worked together with Kaleidos, which was a lot of fun. But the last shade we added to the palette, which is not present in this palette here, it doesn't exist in this sample, is the last sample that we did was actually Nova. This like purple to blue topper, because we were missing one shade in the palette. We had like approved everything, and I was like, I want something that ties all of this together. I want something that's light enough to be in the inner corners, but is like a topper shade that is sparkly that you can use on top of shades. I just want something that ties everything together, and I said I want a sheer topper, like iridescent shade that is either a purple or a blue to have in your inner corners or to layer if you want to. And they gave me a sheer topper iridescent shade that is a duochrome between the purple and blue. So they gave me everything, and I love it so much. So that is actually the last shade that we added to this palette, and it is the last shade that was approved to this palette. And I think that Nebula is the shade that we made the most, like, had the most revisions. What happened, like how we work? I know someone asked something about, like, let me get this. Someone asked, did you actually get to tour the production factory? And no, because of COVID, I wasn't able to do that. But of course, that was like our desire, like we wanted. I wanted to go there and we could work together on this, but unfortunately we weren't able. And somebody else was asking, how much of the process did you get to see considering you did this virtually? Because we did this through a number of Zoom meetings. Let me tell you, we did so many virtual meetings, and I was sitting with my samples and they were sitting with their samples, and together with the person that does create the formulas and the colors for Kaleidos, and we were just swatching side by side, comparing, talking about them, making notes on what kind of changes we want to make. Like, we did a lot of stuff like that, and I mean, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, we're not in the same time zone, but we made it work, and the people at Kaleidos are so nice and so sweet and so helpful, so we actually had such a good time doing this. So I'm not looking back at the process, I'm not sad that this is what happened, but I do hope like in the future that I will be able to visit them as well, because Shanghai seems like such a cool city, but we still made it work. And I really love the whole process of just having this discussion with them, like what would we want and what do we not want and what kind of changes do we want to make. And it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. It was a dream come true. I never thought that when I started YouTube that I would be the person to have a collab. But I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity because I loved the process so much. I got a question asking, was it difficult getting the colors you wanted, like the tone and the depth or the brightness you wanted? Most of all, I would like to say no, because Kaleidos was very good at like knowing what I wanted and like giving me what I wanted. The only colors that I was like, not really, is that when I got back the 4 colors here, the dark red, the dark purple, the dark blue, and the dark green, I basically said, yes, I love the tone, I love everything about these, but they need to be a couple of tones darker. Because like I said, I feel like the biggest, not problem, but what I'm usually missing in palettes are really, really dark mattes, and especially dark mattes that aren't a brown or a black. So that's the only one where I was like, I love it, but but can we make it darker? And they did, because obviously you see what we got. So yeah, I did get a question about how long it took. People are so rude. And they did approach me in June of 2020, asking me if I wanted to do a collab. And someone also asked me if I have had any hesitations about the collab. None, absolutely none. Kaleidos is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite brand, and I was so excited to be able to work with them. So I had zero hesitations about working with them. So I said yes immediately. So they did reach out to me in June, and we started right away, because I already had, like, I have more ideas in my head of stuff I want to do. Like, so I already had some parts of this color scheme already like rumbling around in my head of like something that I would like to do. So it didn't take me that long to send them my first draft, and then we started working from that, and they started sending me samples. So that's how long it took. Someone also asked me, do you get money from the collab? Yes, I do make money. I mean, I did a job for Kaleidos. I do get paid for this release. I can't really talk about like money, but I do get compensated, and I do hope, sincerely hope, that everyone that's doing work for a brand gets paid. This is what I used to say when I modeled. I used to say, because there's a lot of people that's like, it's good exposure. Don't fall for that. Let me get a spray. I sprayed the You're My Only Hope because I want this to be, I want to be able to paint this on. This does have a little bit of a lime green sheen to it, and I think that that's really going to come out now that we put it on this teal together with these teals. I'm going to try and do somewhat of a half cut crease, and that is why I sprayed it, so that I can be a little bit more precise. You can see that it's turning a little bit more icy teal because it does have a little bit of that in it. I'm spraying it again just so I can be a bit more precise. I used to say when I was a model, if they are getting paid, I want to get paid too. If everyone is doing it for free, I have no problem doing it for free. Then we can do it, all of us can do it for exposure. But if you are getting paid, I want to get paid too, because I refuse to enable people to make money out of my free labor. I don't think that that is fair. I don't think that anyone should have to do that. So ask yourself, are they making money out of this? And if they are, so should you. Okay, I'm using the last shade Nebula now, and I'm gonna push that on the inner part of my lower lash line, so we can have that little pop of peach down there. I think that's gonna be fun. This was a new way for me as well to use this palette. I always like palette bingos. They always make you go out of your comfort zone and just try something new. This might be the last question. Were you surprised with how well received it was? It's such a beautiful palette. Thank you so much. Yes. I didn't think that people were gonna be like, oh, what an ugly palette, because I didn't think that was gonna happen, because I myself thought it was a very pretty palette. Of course, if you only like neutrals, I understand that it's not for you, but I wanted to do something that was like true to me. But I was surprised at how excited people were by it, and of course we had quite a few units in our first restock, and we were very surprised at how fast it sold out. That's why we haven't even, we didn't even think about having a restock, because we thought that this was gonna last us quite some time. So yeah, that was surprising. I mean, I knew that I thought that this was a good palette. I'm still so proud of this palette. I think that this palette is great. I think the mattes are great. I think the shimmers are great. I think the textures are great. I think the combos you can make is great. Obviously, I think that because I created it, but you never really know what other people are gonna think. So I was a little bit like, what if people don't like it? Because you never know what people are gonna like and not. And since I know that my color schemes that I like isn't necessarily what everybody else likes, I didn't think it was gonna be this well received, even though I didn't think anyone was gonna say like, oh, this is a crap palette, because this is a good quality palette. You never know really. So yeah, I will say I was a little bit surprised. I was a little bit surprised. Let me finish this look up and let me find the lip color. And you know what? I'll take one last question. Okay, I am all done. I put some eyeliner on. Well, I used an eyeliner pen actually around my eye. This is the Morphe Locket, and I used the Tower 28 Coconut on my lips. And I also used the Nicole lashes by Makeup Geek. I was not clearing out, but I was reorganizing my makeup collection the other day, and I found these lashes Nicole that I've never used, and they are so stunning on. Like, I love how these look. Like, they're so pretty. So I'm so excited that I found those. Don't know why I haven't used them, but here we are. So one last question that I saw, and that was the, now you've had time to reflect, is there anything you would have changed in the palette? And honestly, no. I like the palette the way it is. I like this palette. I like everything about this palette. I like the inside, I like the colors, I like the dark blue background, which I was very specific about. I really wanted a dark blue background, and I'm so happy that we were able to do that. I'm so happy that Void is actually very close to the color of the outside packaging. It's a very close color. I like everything about this palette, and I'm so happy with the collab. I've had nothing but good experience with Kaleidos. I'm just super thrilled. I'm so happy that you're liking the palette as well. I did get a lot of questions about, like, would I ever do a collab again? What would I do if I did another collab and all things like that? And like I said in the beginning, I do have a bunch of ideas that I would love to do. So if I ever get the chance, and if it's with a brand I really love, yeah, sure. I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest, because there are so many ideas that I have that I would love to make happen, not only eyeshadow palettes. I don't think I would ever start a brand myself, because I'd rather just do another collab item than start my own brand. I wouldn't mind owning my own brand in the future, not at all, but I wouldn't want to do makeup. I wouldn't want to do makeup. There are a bunch of other things that I wouldn't mind creating on my own, but not makeup. At least that's how I feel right now. Thank you so much for submitting some questions. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you want to be able to be a part of these things in the future. I really like how easy it is on Instagram to ask questions to the people that are following you there. So if you would like to be a part of this in the future, don't forget to follow me there. And thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, if you're interested in the restock, I will put the info down below in the description box. This video should be up on the 13th. But again, info in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe because I will have a video tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye!